Streaming from Madison, Wisconsin and Minneapolis, Minnesota. Straight to your personal devices. Available on all major platforms and YouTube. This is the Armchair Analysts Podcast. And here are your hosts, Ace and Johnny.
What's up, everybody? Another week, another episode. Armchair Analysts, Ace and Johnny. We're back. Ace is wearing some wonderful apparel, I see. Damn, you look good.
It's hard to see for those listeners, but
oh no.
Yeah, for those watching.
You can feel the pride behind that. That's amazing. So you got the shirt. There's Armchair Analysts couch I see behind you. And then you even have the little plaque in the back. Wow, that's meanwhile, I just have all of these championship things, and that's just boring, right?
Well, yeah, I can't put those up. We're in Minnesota still.
Hey, that means you got more wall space for stuff. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, fair.
So, how was your week?
The weekend, all of that has been good. Obviously, I'm not sure I could say the same for the Wisconsin side, given what happened in the Bucks game.
Whoa! Spoilers! Spoilers!
Yeah, gosh, I'm trying to remember what the heck all happened. Kayaking a few times, got my butt out doing a little exercise.
Hey, those traps are looking good, man. Looking swole.
Thank you. God, you're embarrassing me so early. This is crazy. Normally he's just, harping down on me about no.
Oh, I'll rip on you. Don't worry. There's a whole show left, son. You're fine.
Yeah, you're right. It's been good. It's a lot warmer here lately, clearly, as we get into the summer months. I haven't been focused on baseball much, except for like the Saints maybe, or some of the other teams across the world.
Avoiding anything that might be based in Minneapolis. Okay, nice.
Yeah, what's going on with you? How was everything?
Well, as you can see, I got a little color. So I actually got to visit my folks in North Carolina this weekend. Took a long weekend. Took a half day Thursday. Flew down there. Absolutely amazing. Spent a day at the beach. Spent a day boating. Had my dad's surprise party. Very, very good times. It's been a busy summer. It's going to continue to be a busy summer. We got a wedding this weekend. Got some other things we need to take care of for the wedding, and then it's.
Yeah, oh gosh, 4th of July weekend too. That's going to be a mess.
It will be, and unfortunately, we weren't able to book like camping or anything. So I think I'm actually going to try to spend time with my friends. That'll be nice. Maybe play a little golfo? Huh?
Yes.
We'll see. But I did have an experience this weekend. I've had a few experiences over the last few weeks, which will lead me into my random rant, Ace. Okay. So this is something that we've seen. I think a lot of people, without me even saying, might even get where I'm going for. If now that everyone's got vaccines. COVID's completely disappeared. We're all perfect and safe again. Not really, but
we're gonna get flagged.
No, I'm kidding. We're going out. We're doing stuff. We're making reservations. We're hanging out with friends, and it's really liberating, right? Nice warm weather. You got your freedom back, but staffing issues.
Ooh.
So I know that around here, at least, there's a lot of restaurants. I mean, you go into and even like quicker, like not fast food, but like even like Qdoba, Chipotle, like noodles, restaurants like that, they're pretty understaffed. Go to a restaurant, they're understaffed. Okay, so that's the way it is here. I hear stories of friends outside the state. I go visit my folks in North Carolina now, and I saw probably the two most hardworking people I've seen in a long time. There were two guys running an entire restaurant. One was behind the bar, and one was taking the orders. There was a couple guys in the kitchen. I'm sorry, so probably 4 people running the entire restaurant, and the place was completely packed. And the service, while not I mean, the timeliness was pretty terrible. He kept our drinks topped off, which was good, and the bill was correct. So
Priority one,
right? Like that's we always learn that. Like when I used to take tables before I bartended, like the biggest thing was like, what? If their food's late or fucked up, I mean, that's a thing, right? But just make sure that their glasses are full. Make sure they have something to drink, and that'll make everything a whole lot easier. Or it'll make them more drunk, and they'll get more angry, and that'll be worse. But hey, you know what? You can only do so much, right? But these dudes were busting their asses off, and I mean, there was a patron that refused to pay his bill, was wasted trying to walk out multiple times. You know, you had multiple large parties coming in, large tables coming in, all of this stuff, and like eventually it came to the point where they just closed the door. Like, we literally can't handle this anymore. We can't take any more people. They locked the doors, so you can only get out and not in. Going through the airport, the second largest airport in the entire world in Atlanta. That airport, for whatever reason, even on like a weekend, had over half of its restaurants and stores closed. Most of them, if they were open, closed by 7, which still dinner time. Still dinner time.
Were there any signs? Like,
no, it was literally like 7:10, and my fiance and I, we found this restaurant. We were gonna grab a table, and we were like, nope, closed. They ran up and said, nope, can't sit down. We're closed. Not taking anybody else. So there's a real issue now, and I know that if we want to get political, we could say where it stems from. I think it's partially due to the fact that people that were in that position and found other employment are, like, why would you work in service industry, working in a restaurant or food service, if you found like a cozy desk job that pays a little bit nicer?
Yep.
So
especially if they were laid off.
Sure. Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, even or if you were laid off, yeah. But I mean, don't get me wrong. Unemployment and those payments definitely have something to do with it. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I've been kind of feeling it for the last few weeks, and having, bartended for almost a decade. Like, I definitely empathize with them. We even got like our dinner so late at a place that we had to take it to go because we had to be somewhere. Like, it took so long from, like, getting our drinks. We got our appetizers, but the entree took so long that we literally had to walk into the kitchen and say, we need to take this to go. We literally have to leave now. So, it's a thing, bro. It's a thing. I've been in 3 states and saw the same stuff.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you entice employees to come back when you're right? They, number one, we're probably let go or told that, hey, you're on furlough until further notice, i.e. we have no clue when things are going to open back up. And not only that, but you're relying on a small business that's supposed to do their due diligence to submit paperwork to get the PPE money or whatever not the PPE, the money from the stimulus checks. It's like all of those things compounded, and no wonder why they don't want to work. Oh my God, that's frustrating.
Yeah. So I know at least in my line of work, we've been helping with like building a lot of career pages and job opening pages and stuff like that. Okay. I've seen a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. I've seen a lot of posts in general just about like hiring bonuses and stuff like that, like, or referral bonuses, like trying to find people, recommending people to come in. So they're trying to find other ways around it. It's basically all just incentivized now, but we'll see in the next couple months, how that turns out. Because, I mean, honestly, this is the time of year when there's all the college kids are looking for employment. So you would think that they might be in the market too, but
and travel in general is clearly up.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I don't know. It's kind of messy. It's kind of crappy, but I'm a very, very patient person for the most part. So I'm doing my best not to lose my shit, but we literally have to take, we had a $130 tab, and we had to take our food to go because it took almost 45 minutes. Like, I don't know. It's rough. It's rough out there. Just keep that in mind when you're going out to eat. There was a couple restaurants that were good, though. We could have, man, a couple times. All right, so that was I don't know. I kind of wanted to pick your brain on that a little bit, so we ran a little long. But I thought it's an interesting, and I mean, I'm sure other people are bumping into it too. This is not a new thing. I can't believe I went to the other side of the country and still it was the exact same, if not worse. But all right, you alluded to this. There was something that happened in the Bucks game yesterday. So I don't know. I feel like I speak for most of the state and most of Bucks fans nationwide when I think there was just a collective gasp when he went down. Like I don't think I said anything. I just like made noises with my mouth open. I was like, like just watching the replay in slow mo. Giannis, turns out, first of all, I think the knee-jerk reaction is like, oh my gosh, ACL, he's done. It's done. We're screwed. We're dead in the water. MRI was this afternoon. They got results back. Looks like there was no structural damage, no tissue damage. So still, they're going with the initial diagnosis of a hyperextension. Hyperextensions vary. I mean, odds are he's probably not coming back this series. Maybe, depending on how long the other series goes, maybe he has a chance of coming back for the finals if they go that far.
Yeah.
It was a big question. It was a big topic, especially it happened. It took him, he literally got carried off the court by his brother and one of the trainers. And then I would say maybe 2 game minutes later, he was back on the sideline. And I was like, okay, nobody lays on the ground that long, gets carried off the court, and comes back into the play in 3 minutes. Like, no way, no chance. So he quickly was taken back to the locker room. Knowing that you can walk in an ACL, I wasn't comforted by that whatsoever, by his appearance.
Yep.
And at that point, that when he went down, that was probably the closest chance they had of actually coming back in that game. They were significantly down ever since the first quarter. The first bucket was a long 3-bomb, and they Atlanta just kept making it rain from then on out. Very difficult game to watch in general. Giannis' injury notwithstanding. They just look so deflated. I mean, had Giannis played, I feel like they still would have lost by double digits.
I had to go back and watch. I wasn't able to watch the live telecast, but going back and watching highlights, it didn't seem. The fact that like they clearly have the size advantage over the team, and they're shooting upwards of 35 threes in the game. Just, I mean, they're down, so they probably had to force some shots to try to get back into the game, but I don't know.
The problem is it's like I don't know how, but the Bucks somehow became the worst shooting team in the playoffs. Like, they went from being consistently one of the highest scoring teams to all of a sudden like they can't even make a basic jump shot. They'd have a game. I feel like the stats are kind of skewed because they have a couple really good games of shooting percentage, especially from beyond the arc. Going back a couple series, one game versus the Nets and one game versus the Heat. But overall, I think if you pull those games out, it's been pretty atrocious overall.
I wonder. I was just going to look up quick. So they're averaging 108 points in the 108 points in the postseason, which is like 8 to 10 points below their.
They also have multiple games season. Under 90 points. So, I mean, there's a couple very high scoring games, again, that are the outliers that are making that number look a little bit better. But also keep in mind that they played less games than some teams because they had a sweep first round. So there's less games to be judged on. So there's different things to go into the math there, but overall, I guess if you just want to say the eye test, they're not passing it. Whether Giannis was in or not, he was a little more gun shy that game. It looked like that injury. There was a pre-existing injury on the same knee that wasn't looking great. He was in a lot. Honestly, that when they were showing highlights post game before the injury. I could have picked like 2 other plays where that probably could have happened. Like he's technically, it looks like he's hyperextending his knee almost every play when he's going up to the basket, trying to go for a rebound, trying to go for a block, whatever. Like he comes down awkwardly so often because his legs are just so long, and he's just, I don't know. It's pretty nutty, but obviously I'm a much happier person today. My whole office was just really grim and quiet and dark this morning while we were waiting for the test. It was pretty rough, but we could talk a little bit more about that. Brewers, while I'm at work today, decide just to have a heyday.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw, they ended up beating the Cubs 15-7.
Yes.
Which, I don't know if you're keeping tally, that is 30 runs in 3 games, which was an obvious sweep of the Cubs, which is always good. The Brewers have put together 8 straight wins and are slowly becoming a team maybe to pay attention to again as they sit atop the NL Central. I mean,
man, that is insane.
9-1 in their last 10. I mean, all of a sudden, things were quiet and dark in Milwaukee, and now it's like, okay, okay.
What's their record again? They gotta have 40 plus wins at this point. Yeah. Oh Jesus, 48-33. Get out of here.
I mean, obviously the current run helped that a lot, but it's not like they were okay. Well, technically there was a couple games.
Is it
the Diamondbacks
pitching
in there? But don't remember that. Okay.
majority of it's got to be pitching, because I remember early in the season you're talking about, man, if they could even just put up a few runs, I think it'll help. We're not asking for much.
I think if you look back, I wish I had a stat before, but like the average runs from like the first 2 months of the season and the last 2 months, I saw a nice chart of it, and it's a drastic difference. I mean, even if you don't take the 14 and 15 run games in the Cubs series, like you've got a lot of fives, you got over fives, you've got at the absolute least, like they're not putting up goose eggs anymore. They're actually making the games competitive, which is always nice. Like I said, though, I'm mostly watching basketball, so I haven't been able to put the ace microscope to check it out, but I'm doing my damnedest. I mean, that's our job, right? We consume all this so people don't have to. They can just take our opinions, and they can sound smart when they're in a bar.
What's nice is they don't, I mean, outside of I think their bullpen's pretty deep, and the rotation is too, but they don't have like a pure clear-cut number one starter. So it's not like freaking the umpires are on their cases to figure out, hey, is this dude's using weird performance substances?
I mean,
let's
not even just that.
Dude.
It's like you instead of having like a surefire ace, which don't get me wrong, that's a nice thing to have. Not you ace, like a pitching ace, but
hey, there ain't
having 3 solid starters and then a couple pitchers you can still count on, and then multiple closers that you're very comfortable with. I mean, that's the only thing that's really kept the Brewers afloat for the last 3 seasons, if you don't mind me saying. So the fact that they were able to add a couple defensive pieces the last couple years, now everybody's feeling a lot healthier, swinging the bats a lot better, kind of pulling it together. The problem is it's still early. If they were looking like this, in September, I'm like, hell yeah, let's go, boys, let's go.
God, 9-1 to close out the year,
right? Like that would be a nice thing to see, but it is what it is. I'm excited. It seems that basketball could perhaps be done sooner than I anticipated for Milwaukee, so I'll be able to watch a little more. But here we are. I know that you are very excited about soccer. But I'm assuming you're not talking about the team formerly known as the Minnesota Twins anymore.
No, I can't. He's not getting fired, so I'm not going to even discuss it.
The rest of this year, the rest of the season, you're not going to talk about him on the show?
But here's the thing. Half the team is down. It seems like almost half the team is down playing for the Saints anyways, the AAA team. Michael Pineda's making a start there because he's injured every once in a while. My favorite player, I will say, Luis Ariz, should be an all-star. The guy is like a modern-day Rod Carew, if I can make that stretch. Tony Gwynn, I'll make that stretch too.
Okay. Except no.
He's exciting to watch because he puts the bat on the ball.
So is Michael Vick. That doesn't make it a Hall of Famer. You can't list off 2 players that are fantastic and known by, maybe not a household name, but the average fan knows who they are. Nobody knows of Ariz. Get out of here.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not if he's going to stay.
In today's baseball, they don't care about that. They'd rather see the 3-run home run or the, I don't know.
Whoa. Are you telling me that people care about offense? Hold on. People want to see points scored? Whoa.
Hold up. I do have a stat. He is the first Twin. He had 2 triples in a game last week. 2 triples in a game, which had not been done, I think, since Rod Carew, which would have been 60s. So at least 40, 50 plus years. So boom, there's a nice little stat for you listeners.
Hold on. We're going to have our statistician check that. Is he good, Rod? Okay. All right. All right. We got to make sure everything's up to date and valid. We have fact checkers on the show now. It's we took out Ace's his housing budget for his office so he could stop decorating, and then we hired a statistician.
No, before I mention the Minnesota United, the soccer club, I wanted to bring up something with the Timberwolves. Basically, since the 76ers got eliminated, the local media and like local news, all of that, or not so much local news, more so the radios, all of those are talking about bringing in Ben Simmons.
Oh God.
Thank you. And I don't like, we didn't create this show just to like feast on, local radio. We didn't want to bash them, but this is my opportunity to just say, what the hell? What are the Timberwolves going to do with him? I just squeaked there, but what can the Timberwolves do? Yeah, sure, he's a great defensive presence, and he can maybe be our third or fourth shooting option.
He's going to need to be your sixth man for shooting, I think. Come off the bench.
But what are we going to give up for him? He's ball dominant. You think he's going to want to just completely? The dude's making max money.
Yeah.
You think we're going to want him playing a defensive specialist role behind what? Carl Anthony and frickin' Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell. Everyone, this is what I love about our media. Everyone thinks that, hey, we can just trade away pieces, not give up like the main key asset, D'Angelo Russell, or honestly, we don't even have much talent.
That's like give up that's like the Madden franchise owners. Like, well, if I give up 5 rated 60 players, I can get a rated 80 player. Like, no, that's not really how it works. And the Sixers have been treadmilling at the same spot in the second round of the playoffs for years now. Do you think they're going to give up one of their all-star, all-NBA, all-defensive team players for bits and kibbles? Like, no, like, that's not... That's not how a team goes from being a treadmill champion to like an actual champion. Like, in order to make that jump, you need to make that final addition. There's a piece missing there. Embiid and Simmons, they're not really great together, and I know that Embiid did everything in his power to kind of swallow his words when he was trying to explain what happened in those last couple games. And he didn't say it by name, but he's like, we literally started passing up shots, like. Who did that, Ace? Who did that? Ben Simmons.
When you're playing 5-on-4, basically, because the other 4 members on your team don't. And the last thing I'll say is the idea that, okay, local radio, all of that is basically spilling the guts out on the fact that they want Ben Simmons is not going to entice the trade. Like, it's not going to entice them, the 76ers.
Nobody listens to Minnesota radio in Philly or probably in Minnesota.
NBA insiders got to have a
Hold on, let's let Ratface Schefter have an article. Maybe people will pay attention then. Ben Simmons says time is up with 76ers.
My point is, it's like, okay, you're basically, everyone's talking about wanting him. That just, in my opinion, diminishes his value even more.
Why would you want a player that like backed out of the playoffs on his own, like I know. Had a fantastic regular season, went back to the All-Star game, named all defensive team, named all pro, fantastic, but gets to the second round of the playoffs and just goose egg after goose egg. If that's that, honestly though, in Minnesota, it would give him somebody to hate, right?
Hold up.
It would give him somebody to blame.
Wow. I mean, yeah. We would have, if that were the case, let's say Ben comes over, was D'Angelo Russell the number 1 overall pick? Because if so, we would have 4 starters, number 1 overall picks. Carl Anthony, Anthony Edwards, and Ben Simmons.
Wow. No way. Ben Simmons could have been number 1 overall.
I thought and D'Angelo, I don't know where Russell was picked, but he was picked by the Lakers, I believe. Point is, like,
gosh, Ben Simmons was. That's right. Wait, who was it? D'Angelo Russell?
D'Angelo Russell, yeah. Where's our statistician?
I was gonna say, Ron, what are you doing over there?
I love that we arbitrate.
Oh, pick two. Oh.
The point is, our roster is littered with top 10 picks. You think that's turned out well since?
And you won't even break 500. That goes to show you how much of a crapshoot the NBA draft is, though. Everyone goes crazy over the lottery, but it's like after pick 6, maybe it doesn't. I mean, it's just you're literally just shooting a gun into a lake to try to hope you get a fish. Like there's no guarantee. All right, let's keep her moving. You're talking about soccer, world sport. Is it the World Cup? Were you talking about European 2020 Championship? No, Minnesota United.
So Minnesota United came back. They've been playing kind of their summer, I guess, summer, fall season. I don't know how you define it, but there's 2 different seasons, the spring and then summer, fall, whatever. They're 10 games in, but the last this time last Wednesday, the 23rd, we were able to have a full packed stadium of fans. First sport in the state to do so, which is actually got to applaud for that. Of course,
the other
we
teams
won.
wouldn't be able to sell out anyway, so does it matter?
See his compliments lasted.
Yep. See, I butter you up so I can tear you down.
They won that game. They have a pretty tough stretch coming up here. They just faced the Timbers over the weekend. Portland Timbers, who are a good team. We actually play them in a few weeks here after we play the Seattle Sounders. Before that, we play San Jose and Colorado. Both those teams are all right. We're in the playoff spot. Colorado is right above us in that spot, but it's going to be a dog fight. It's going to be a dog fight to win the Western Conference. But hey, there's 8 teams that make it into the playoffs. As long as we can get into that, we're 5th overall. So if we can maintain that spot, maybe move up and get a home game again, that would be nice for the team.
What? That would be nice. You're like asking for it to happen. That would be nice.
We had a few additions, a few subtractions that have left the team, but I think overall we're going to, under Adrian Heath, who's been the manager since they've moved up to MLS, he's gotten a lot out of the talent. I think there's some scheming, which frankly I don't want to dive into because I'm not that smart to know soccer, but there's some scheming and some different, I think defensive counterattacks is probably one of our weaker points if you understand a little bit about soccer.
I will play you one-on-one and I will show you how much I understand soccer. Okay. We will get to the clip of the week. Rod just let me know that we do have breaking news here. We talked about this like eons ago, it feels like, but Sports Center just reported that every NCAA athlete in the country will be able to make money from endorsements and through a variety of other ventures starting Thursday, aka tomorrow. So that escalated quite quickly. NCAA clears student athletes to pursue name, image, and likeness deals starting Thursday. So that's a game changer.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe we save that for next week because we've already done a boatload of stuff in this show and we still have more to do. But I just want to say that because we've been talking about that for quite a while, and just the fact that it's actually come to fruition, I mean, that's huge. Now the non-profit NCAA, being the big evil bastard that it is, it can actually let the players make the money instead of them making the money and doing God knows what with it. And
if they were going to allow the states, if the NCAA wasn't going to say anything and let the states sort of kind of dictate it on their own, it's like, okay, now you're getting into like recruiting advantages too. Because Minnesota, God, they are so bad when it comes to legalization of anything. They're passing bills, whatever. They would
legalization. What? Eons. What are you talking about?
Freudian slip.
All right. Let's just say your soccer team's name, and then we'll go to the clip.
Minnesota United Football Club.
All right, so I'm gonna play a clip of the goal, and I watched not a lot, but I've watched a couple matches of the Euro 2020 Championship, and I swear that this crowd mimics that. Like, it sounds maybe not the World Cup game because there's none of those.
Vuvuzelas.
Yeah, vuvuzelas. They don't have those in the background, but it's pretty intense. So, and this is really all Ace has to watch now. So we gotta get excited for him, right? Go. Woo! I mean, I'll be the first person to say that I'm not gonna go out of my way to watch soccer, but if I given a chance, I will take that liberty and I will go do so. Like World Cup, definitely, sure, I will 100% watch World Cup. The Euro Championship, I popped in like 3-4 games, looking nice, exciting. It's hard though. I mean, the 0-0 games that just never seem to end, and then you get penalty kicks, and then it's like, okay, well, that's a little bit harder. That's a long 90 minutes, but that's cool. I'm glad that they're doing that. The people seem very into it. The players seem very into it. And like I said, what is it? Butts in seats.
Yep.
Let's get
we
back.
Needed soccer like Seattle needs a basketball team.
Okay. I will take your word for it. I will take your word for it. All right. So I know that we're talking about Giannis' injury, but honestly, at this up until last night, the Bucks were the healthiest team in the postseason, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Chris Paul literally was out with COVID. I don't think they ever technically said it, but they was like, well, why would he be in COVID-19 protocols if he didn't have COVID-19? Anyway, so the Devin Booker gets destroyed, breaks his nose, been wearing a mask for a little bit now. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard's been out for a significant amount of time already. Paul George stepping up big time. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Trae Young was absent last night. Mm-hmm. So all the teams, all the teams really, at least in the last couple of rounds, have had some sort of significant injury. Now we have superstars being injured. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It kind of changes the landscape a little bit. And honestly, I felt like the Bucks were a favorite to win now, just because they were the healthiest. Obviously, with Giannis' injury, maybe not the case anymore. So, just thought that was kind of a relevant topic, just because that is something that every team at going into the playoffs is injured in some capacity, right? Like, we lost DiVincenzo for the year. A couple other players a little bit banged up going into the playoffs. Even though it was a slightly shortened season, most players have had some sort of wear and tear, right? Just like in the NFL, like you're playing with something, right? So
I was going to ask that. Do you think the NBA, if they had a do-over, they would have started the season later? I mean, I think I'm trying to remember. Basically, this was the shortest time between the end of a season and start of a new regular season ever. And I know they're professional athletes, but they're also conditioned, to work out and get onto a certain plateau and peak. I
think that's the players themselves. I think that's.
Is it on the players, or is there some blame for the NBA trying to jumpstart?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, because I know that some of the players have already kind of spoke out against it, just because it's like, okay, well, I mean, this is the least amount of time we've ever had to turn around. Like, typically, you don't let yourself go, but you don't have it's just a strenuous workout all the time. You'll keep in shape, but you're not gonna go crazy. And I believe the preseason was very, very short too, right? They basically just kind of got back into it. So the fact that there's not a lot of time to kind of ramp up from ramping down at the end of the last year, I think it's taking its toll. I mean, Kawhi, he's always banged up in the playoffs, it feels like. Giannis doesn't really have an injury history, but with all the stuff that he's doing in the paint and on the court, like he does get dinged up from time to time. This being an more extreme case of that. I think it's a little bit of just circumstances and how things played out, but also I think it is taking its toll. But the thing is, it's like the younger players, the ones off the bench, they're reaping the benefit from this. Like the veterans and the stars are getting more tired, injured, whatever, so that kind of opens up the door for the younger players. And I think we kind of talked about that a little bit too. So not a horrible thing. But yeah, I guess it's something to think about going forward now too, because is Kawhi coming back? Is Giannis going to come back? Obviously Chris Paul has been back. And Trae Young's going to be day-to-day. So, I mean, these are very, not just for Vegas, but for the average fan just watching the game. It's like, would you rather see the Clippers without Kawhi? Well, honestly, they've kind of been playing a little bit better. Without Kawhi Leonard, they put up 81 points and a half. And they've just been destroying the Suns. I mean, they have to be down 2 games first, and then they start trying. That's how it goes.
Yeah, no kidding. I think overall, maybe this is just me, but I've actually enjoyed watching these playoffs more than in years past. And I don't know circumstances why. Maybe it's because our friend group is so into the Bucks and all that fun stuff. But I prefer it where, like, I love seeing a superstar, especially somebody as talented as like Paul George or even Chris Paul that can set up players, or even Devin Booker. Devin Booker is lights out. Yeah. I love seeing them being able to take over the games, but usually that's in the fourth quarter. I love seeing the role players kind of get their minutes, the hustle minutes. I think one of the Morris twins had like I saw a stat. He scored like 20 points in one game, but basically didn't equal that for the entire series leading up to this against the Suns.
That was Marcus. He had 20 points in a quarter, I think.
Oh, wow.
It was something ridiculous. Yeah.
Either way, he didn't have nearly that many points in the 4 games prior, 5 games. I think they're on 4 games prior.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like the ball. At the end of the day, I think people are going to put, just like they did with the stupid asterisks last year in the bubble. It's like, okay, can you, like, do you blame Harden? Do you blame Harden for showing up out of weight, forcing a trade out of the Rockets, and then basically getting injured with a hamstring injury, which is endurance? It's like you're not in fitness shape anyways. Like, how do you? It's funny that people will say, "Oh, whoever wins this there's an asterisk tied to the title."
Who
Because
the hell is saying that for
superstars.
this year? Everybody's hurt. It was a quick turnaround, a
Yeah.
short season.
Yep.
You had a play-in tournament for the playoffs. This is probably the best yet.
Oh, there's been a lot of Dan Patrick, not to call him out, but he's like, this is like the year of attrition. Whoever wins is gonna earn
That's
it,
the
which I
whole point,
agree.
though. That's the whole point. That proves you're the best team. If you have the deepest roster, you therefore should probably win the championship. Like, but that's just
No, I agree with his point. I disagree with others that are coming out saying, well, there's going to be an asterisk on this because the Nets weren't fully healthy. The Lakers, Davis
don't
was,
sign 3 superstars and put all your eggs in that basket. Then injuries happen. KD even said that. It's like, hey, like, injuries happen. They've been banged up all year. Okay, don't get me. You're just trying to get me rustled right now. You're just trying to get me riled up, and I ain't falling for it. All right, so tee off topic. This is something that we've seen quite a bit, but I feel like it's really coming to a head. So Chauncey Billups just got a crazy deal to head coach, and it made me kind of ponder, John, you've been watching basketball since the mid-'90s. There's players that have been playing since then and have retired and have been coaching or just started coaching recently, and it feels like there are a lot, Ace. It feels like there are a lot. We actually went through and got like the more modern ones, but if you go back further, there's obviously a lot more players that are still coaching. But just off the top of my head, I think we had a few. But the full list of like modern era, and when I say modern, I mean the John and Ace era when we watched when we were younger. But like Steve Nash,
90s and above.
90, there it is, modern. Steve Nash, Nate McMillan, Jason Kidd, Steve Kerr, Ty Lue, Monty Williams, Chauncey Billups, Luke Walton, and I'm sure I probably missed one. That's just my up and down.
8 of the 30 teams. That's insane. Right?
8, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I think I might have missed one. I'm not good with my fingers and counting. Hey, I didn't go to school for math. I don't do math in my job very much. Although I did do a lot of invoicing today, like 40 grand worth, but we're not going to talk about that. I'm great at math with the calculator.
Jeez.
So we had times where we got to see all these players playing, and it's like, I know, okay, in NFL, I don't think it translates as much. I think because you have to have a different personality anyway, just because you're dealing with so many more players. But why do you think that so many former NBA players end up working in an organization? Maybe not in a coaching capacity, but in consultants. They come back as like assistants, stuff like that. I know, obviously, being a commentator makes a huge difference. I mean, look at the TNT panel. just hearing them talk about it, it's like, well, back in my day, like hearing Shaq or Chuck go back and like, well, when I was playing, like that, you don't get that unless they were playing at some point in the past. So why do you think that former NBA coaches or former NBA players make good coaches?
That's a great question. I think first and foremost, pedigree. Most of these guys either have won a championship or are Hall of Famers in their own right. And to go along with kind of pedigree, that means their name is recognizable to the average person, i.e. Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, something like that. Heck, even Steve Kerr. I mean, it seems like everybody knows Steve Kerr based off that one shot.
You're right.
So I think there's a lot of different reasons. And at this point, I maybe it's due to lack of like, what am I trying to think? Trying to get other, maybe it's just due to lack of available, there's positions available, but there's not the right talent. So they're looking toward, strong leaders that were, when they played, they were basically the leaders on the court, which translates well off the court, like just the knowledge in general that they shared. So I think it's a lot of different things, but I think first and foremost, the pedigree and the fact that they were either Hall of Fame players, they've won championships. And I think, honestly, going back to like the point guard aspect of it, they were more or less floor generals.
That's
to a degree.
That's actually pretty insightful. I'm not saying that's surprise. I'm just a little bit. But as you were saying that, I'm just going through the list. I'm like, most of these guys were point players. Like that's not all. That's a generalization, but I would say the majority of them were either locker room leaders or court leaders. So that's a very good point. Interesting. And obviously, I think this goes without saying, you know, having the experience in the game obviously will give you a much better perspective into coaching. I don't think that needs to be said, but I said it anyway. Yeah. I think I don't think they've all won championships or are Hall of Famers, but at the very least they have a decent resume of good playoff experience and playing high-level basketball, playing with high-level basketball players in a strong organization. I don't think Luke Walton was particularly a good player in his day, but he played on the Lakers back in the Kobe Rockin' years, so he has been to the highest levels of basketball. Chauncey Billups, you know, running the Pistons for how many years? You know, Rip Hamilton, the Wallace Bros, Tayshaun Prince, before the Malice at the Palace. Yeah. He was playing point. Monty was a journeyman. Maybe he just has a hell of a personality because I don't remember him being a very impactful player. But you get what I'm saying, though. Like Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, obviously in a league of their own. Although Jason Kidd, obviously being a former coach of the Bucks, I don't know how he got this job. Obviously, it was the Mavericks, who Cuban probably was just giddy to have him. But
have him back. Oh my gosh, could you
right?
in hearing that kind of makes sense because the dude is so recognizable in that area and.
Yeah,
I don't know his coaching philosophy, but I assume
bad. Don't win, lose playoff games.
That almost seems like Cuban kind of give him an attaboy or something. Hey, you know, when you retire, there might be a coaching spot available.
I mean, and that's another thing too. I guess for a lot of, I'd say at least at absolute minimum, probably former players, but like standout players, like. I mean, I guarantee that if J.J. Watt wanted to come to work for Wisconsin after he retired, I guarantee a spot would open up for him. A lot of like even like mediocre players, like they can come back and like they can get a job doing something. And mediocre as a player, maybe they just get a playing time. I'm not saying that they're bad, but you know, there's typically a spot at your alma mater, or at the very least maybe a team that you were fairly successful with, depending on their hiring situation. So you kind of see a little bit in the NFL, but it doesn't translate as well. Like Vrabel's there.
Ooh, that's an interesting point too. We should let's use that as a tee off
topic. The Harbaughs.
Let's save that because I want to discuss player coaches in the NFL at some point longer.
All right, Rod, write that down. We'll cover that another time.
Okay, my question: the current NBA player today that you could see becoming a head coach next.
Ooh, you want me to answer that right now?
Well, Chris Paul came to mind for me, which sort of seems obvious.
You just want me to think of all the point guards in the world right now? All right, Drew Holiday. I don't know. It's hard because I never envisioned them doing that when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because some people, it's like, you know what, you play basketball, 12 to 15, 16 years, and it's like, okay, that's enough. And that's just NBA. Like, obviously you're playing as a child all the way, up through college and NBA. So, like, I would think, like, after 20 plus years, he might be done, but that's a good one. I don't know. We'll say, we'll put in Chris Paul right now. No. We'll check back in 15 years and see what that is.
Hold me.
It wouldn't even be that long. It'd probably be a decade. It'll be a decade. All right. On my 42nd birthday, we'll check it out, all right?
Well, hey, Tyronn Lue, wasn't he playing with the Cavs and then like literally 2 years after or something he
it was so close that I was like, is this dude even retired from the NBA? Like, to be fair, though, there have been a lot of player coaches, though, in the NBA. They did not turn out too great, but they're like actual players that were coaches simultaneously. That sounds like the worst thing ever, but it has been a thing in NBA history. But perhaps another topic for another day, sir. Mm-hmm. All right, my man, we have wasted way too much of these people's times. If you've listened thus far, a gold star to you. This is a longer episode, but hope we made it worth your while. Appreciate you guys listening. Ace, give him a big smile. Show him this shirt one more time. Come on, baby.
Rep these. Yeah. We'll have some available if people want them, but TBD on that. So
Yeah, Ace has to work things out with his manufacturer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, segueing back to the random rant, staffing issues.
Oh, what?
No.
Anyways, thank you again for listening to our show. We appreciate you guys. If you can, give us a like, rate us, review us, do whatever you can. The more people you tell about this show, the more excited we are every week to do the show. All right, Ace, any parting wisdom for this week for the listeners?
Get healthy quick, Giannis.
Okay, well, that's literally for one person and not for the listeners. So I won't be asking you to do that again.
Do you have any parting words for the listeners?
But you can't just turn it on me. I asked you. Get healthy, Giannis. There you go. All right. That's Bucks, our show. Go. Have a great week, and we will see you next time. Bye.
That's the show for this week. Check out Armchair Analyst on Twitter at AA Podcasts, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. If this wasn't enough, be sure to check out armchairpodcast.com for more. See you next week.